another patch ends, so we get another Moogle event in Final Fantasy XIV. So I'm going to run through all the things you can do and all of the rewards and what things you should do in order to get the rewards that you want and what order you should redeem your rewards, basically. How the Moogle Tome event works is you get tomes for doing certain activities that then can be traded in for reward. So Tower of Peregrine, the Nier series, that's the theme this time around, will grant you 7 along with the Praetorium. Then you have Puppet's Bunker, which will give you 6, and then you have Copied Factory, which will give you 5. Then you go on to PvP. Any front lines gives you 3 for a loss or 5 for a win. Then you have some 50 level dungeons. Hell's Bunker, Tam Deepcroft Hard, and Castrum will give you 4. Then you have the Ultima Trial along with Desmond Darkhold, Sunken Temple of Corn, and Cutler's Cry, which will give you 3. And then all of the Alexander raids will give you 2. Along with the weapon series that came in Shadowbringers. Those will give you 2 as well. So what you want to think here is, what is your time worth? So breaking it down, Tower and the Praetorium take about the same amount of time with 40 minutes, roughly. That's my average anyway. And that will get you about 1 tome every 6 minutes. So that's about the rate that you want to think of it that way. Same with the other 2 Nier raids. This one takes about 30 minutes, maybe 35. This one takes roughly 25 to 30. They're all about 1 tome every 6 minutes. So I will say that Puppet's Bunker can go a little long, so keep that in mind. PvP, that's also about 1 every 6 minutes. I'd say your average PvP match with matchmaking is probably about 18 minutes. Guaranteed 3, it could be more efficient if you win. Now, Hullbreaker, Isle, and all the dungeons here that are worth 4. With Castrum, Castrum is not, it's probably about 22 minutes, so you're getting about 1 every 7-ish minutes or 6-ish minutes. And then the other 2 go significantly faster, but they are a little bit longer. I'd say they're about 1 tome every 4 minutes on average. Now, the Trial, Ultima Trial, takes about 12 minutes, so it's not necessarily the greatest. Desmond Darkhold, Sentinel Temple of Crom, and Cutler's Cry. Now you're getting a little bit, about 12 minutes for each of these, so you're getting about 1 tome every 4 minutes there. And then the Alexander raids, I'm not even going to talk about this. Someone will talk about a Blue Mage farm. Just watch Party Finder. One of these is going to end up being the most efficient, where you get like 1 tome every minute, because an Alexander raid's going to take 2 minutes total with all Blue Mages. And then the Trial series that you get from Shadowbringers, the weapon series, these are definitely not going to be worth it. They're definitely going to take longer than 10 minutes. So that's like 1 every 5. So that's kind of like the rate you're looking for. My suggestion here is, if you haven't done the Trial series here, definitely do that. If you haven't done your PvP series and you are looking forward to some of those rewards, spamming PvP, even though Frontlines is not the most efficient, this is a good way to double down on series rank as well. So that's a suggestion. If you haven't done the Nier raids, now is going to be a great time to do them. Also, it has some of the best glamour in the game. This is what I'm going to be farming. It is not the most efficient, but I love knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone. So I will be doing Nier raids. If you do main story roulette, this will also be effective because you will be getting the Praetorium, Castrum, or the Trial, which all grant basically 1 tome every 6 minutes. Give pretty decent XP for those who need to still level classes, or who are those that are new who want to level classes. This is not the worst thing in the world. Even though you can't skip cutscenes, it is kind of painful. I understand that, but it is also a decent way to get tomes. So that's just my suggestion. I wouldn't even worry about any of the dungeons. If you're trying to do this efficiently, it's going to be one of the Alexanders with Blue Mages, so just keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to item exchange, I am a fan of a lot of these items. The Porgy earrings, I don't get accessories generally because I don't really like most of them and they don't really show up on my character, so why would I get them? But the Ixion and the Magical Predator Identification Key, these should be huge priorities for you if you do not have them, because these either come from super fates that are in the locks in a Stormblood area. I almost said Shadowbringers there. And then the Magica Predator Identification Key cannot be found on the market board. You have to get it as a dungeon drop. So I would prioritize getting that as well if you don't have it already. So these 2 would be my main priority. They look pretty nice. I'll have pictures of all of them on the screen when I talk about them. Now, the Megalopolis horn it comes from Skybuilder scripts in Ishgard Restoration, so if you do not like gathering or crafting, you will never get this without that. It is quite expensive along those means, so the 50 tomes here is a steal in that case. The Fallen Order Orchestra, and then the hairstyle, which it's a pretty popular hairstyle. These would be my next 3 priority in the priority order that you so choose. So if you care about hair, maybe get the hair first. If you care about the mount, maybe get the mount first. So that's just my suggestion. Next, I would prioritize the emote and any of the mounts that you don't have. So every time it has 2 wolves, 2 birds, and 2 horses, going from Stormblood for the wolves, Heavensward has the birds, and horses come from ARR. I would not buy a horse because it's so easy to solo those extremes with level 90 gear. It's a waste of tomes in my opinion, but if you don't have it and you don't want to farm the trials, it is simple enough to do. I would prioritize wolves, birds, then horses in that order because it'll be very easy to farm basically anything Heavensward and AR will be easy to farm. You can actually do it for the most part solo. Otherwise, the Elbist or the Lural horn are also good alternatives, which none of these can be found on the market board, so that's a good place to start. Then I would skip to any of the trading cards that you would want, or the minions, or the very cheap music. Just quick ways to pick up items that you don't have. That's what I always do. This comes from a dungeon, and I would rather get it for 7, like a Praetorium run, than having to farm, and I believe it's the first dungeon in Shadowbringers where the black dog comes from. So just keep that in mind. Easier ways to get these things might be through these tome events than having to farm the respective dungeons they come through. So that's just my suggestion. That's what I do. You don't necessarily have to follow it, but that's how I would spend my cards next before I worry about any of the housing or buying MGP. You can buy MGP. This isn't necessarily the most effective way, but if you don't care for any of the housing and you have all of the mounts, that's what I would spend it on. Or you can do it for the level 80 maps. You can get a bunch of those for 1 blue mage. Gets updated later in the patch, and then you can just spam a bunch of those out. But that's just some of my suggestions. That's what I would do. And this is only going to be around for 4 weeks, and then we're going to be on to 6.4. So that is all I have for this video. I hope you found it helpful. And as always, I hope you have a great day.